Why did Darth Sidious attempt to run away from Yoda during their climactic duel in Revenge of the Sith? At the climax of Revenge of the Sith, we witness the Republic turn into an empire and the Jedi Order collapse. And alongside that, we witness one of the most pivotal and mythic confrontations in all of Star Wars. A wrinkled up old raisin versus a 900-year-old frog with a receding hairline, both some of the galaxy's strongest opponents. And while it's widely agreed that Yoda vs Cidius were nearly evenly matched in everything, one moment in particular has sparked endless debate. If they're so evenly matched, why then did Cidius try to flee when Yoda first confronts him? At the beginning of their long-awaited duel, the galaxy's two most powerful Force wielders, Yoda and Darth Sidious, exchange a brief, chilling conversation. A calm before the storm, if you will. Then, without warning, Cidius unleashed a devastating barrage of Force lightning, finally shedding his political mask and revealing the raw, merciless power of the Sith. Yoda was momentarily blasted backwards, the sheer energy overwhelming, but the Grand Master was far from finished. In a flash of green and willpower, and retaliated with a single thunderous Force push that shattered Sidious's Force protection barrier and sent him crashing through the air like a rag doll. Now, this wasn't just impressive, it was eye-opening for Cidius. The Force surrounds and binds all living things, but for Force wielders, they all have a Force shield around them, which basically meant they were resistant to most Force-based attacks, especially those from other Force wielders. And Cidius was one of the strongest Force wielders in the galaxy, which makes his Force shield incredibly strong. The fact that Yoda cracked it with ease didn't just surprise Cidius, it rattled him. For the first time in years, the Dark Lord felt vulnerable. And that's when something unexpected happened. Cidius tried to run. Yes, the same Sith Lord who had dismantled the Jedi Order, conquered the Republic from the inside out, and turned the Chosen One into Lord Vader, was now making a break for it. Yoda stopped him cold with one of the most powerful lines in Star Wars history.
If so powerful you are, why leave?
It's a line that cuts deeper than any lightsaber, and to truly understand why Cidius fled, we need to take a closer look at his mindset. By this point, Cidius had already achieved what the Sith had dreamed of for thousands of years. The Republic had fallen, the Jedi were decimated, and the Senate answered to him. And on top of all of that, the Jedi's prophesied Chosen One had finally fallen to the dark side and has just led a massacre throughout the Jedi Temple. In Sidious's mind, the dark side had proven itself not just superior, but absolute. He believed the light side was weak, self-restricting, even foolish. The Jedi, in his view, were so blinded by their own code that they couldn't even comprehend the true potential of the Force. So why then did he run? It was because he knew who he was up against. This wasn't Mace Windu, who had gotten close but failed. This wasn't Agen Kolar, whose biggest contribution to galactic history was being first to get kebabbed. This was Grand Master Yoda, a being who had trained thousands of Jedi and had prepared for this moment for over 900 years, and had seen the darkness rise and fall more times than most civilizations could count. Cidius may not have feared anyone, but he definitely respected and understood Yoda's abilities and power. He also understood something that most observers miss. The battlefield mattered. Yoda's lightsaber style, Form 4 Ataru, is fast, aggressive, and acrobatic. And in a wide open space like the Senate chamber, it allowed Yoda to flip, leap, and strike from unpredictable angles. Palpatine, on the other hand, relied on Form 7, Juyo, a style that thrived on raw aggression and emotional intensity. Cidius wasn't trying to surrender, he was trying to relocate. It was a tactical retreat. He wanted to lure Yoda into a narrow hall, a bottleneck where the Jedi Master's mobility would be severely limited and he could capitalize on their confined terrain. It was a very strategical retreat, not an act of cowardice, but Yoda saw right through it. He intercepted Cidius and forced the battle to stay in the open chamber, where skill, clarity of mind, and mastery of the Force would decide the victor, which is primarily why Cidius wanted to leave. He knew that if he and Yoda were to fight on the Senate chamber, it would ultimately come down to a battle of lightsaber skill, which he knew Yoda more than likely would have the upper hand on. Which is also why when they eventually went up into the Senate chambers with all the pods, he would leap from pod to pod to make Yoda get out of his comfort zone and fight him on different terrain. Which is also why he started throwing things at Yoda like the Senate pods. It's because he wanted to start using the Force instead of his lightsaber. In the end, Cidius did not fear Yoda, but he knew that in this arena, the fight was no longer rigged in his favor, and it terrified him more than he would ever want to admit. While this does explain his escape, now the real question is, how would the fight played out if he did make it to the hallway? But anyway, that is why Palpatine tried to run from Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, it'd mean a lot to me if you could like and subscribe, as it would help the channel out a ton. And with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.